Hi everyone, my name is Taylor Martin, and on behalf of Beauty Queens Galore, we'd like to welcome Miss Virginia USA, Christina Thompson today. We're going to be having a conversation today and just talking about your journey within pageantry and your year as Miss Virginia USA. So how are you doing today?
Awesome. Sounds good. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. So let's start off by talking about the fact that your mom is a former Miss USA competitor. So how did that influence you in competing in Miss Virginia USA? And has your mom ever helped you in any pageant prep?
She is, yes. So my mom was Miss Ohio USA in 1987, and Halle Berry actually crowned her, which I think is just the coolest fun fact ever. But she absolutely had the best year as Miss Ohio USA. And ever since I was a kid, I've just always kind of known about the pageant system because of that and because of how many doors, my dog is whining, because of how many doors it opened up for her. But some of my earliest memories are walking into her closet, kind of stumbling upon her Miss Ohio USA crown and banner, which she was keeping stored in a Mrs. Field cookie box. I guess that's what girls back in the 80s did. And I tried it on, and I remember coming out to her and telling her, "Mom, I want one of these one day," and her just saying that, "Okay, you're going to have to work really hard." So that's kind of how I got involved in pageantry, just because it was such a big part of her life. But yes, to answer your other question, my mom has always helped me in preparation for my pageants. She's been the number one person that I go to for interview prep, for walking. She's just a wealth of knowledge. And she's amazing. She's like my best friend. So it's been a cool part of our lives that have really bonded us together.
That is awesome, having your mom being able to, be on that journey with you. So
I know, it's really cool. It's cool being able to share it, like a mother-daughter experience. It's cool.
yeah. So tell us a little bit about your journey, starting off in pageants and all the way up to Miss Virginia USA.
So I competed in pageants when I was younger, but I did New Jersey Teen USA for the first time in 2013 and ended up winning that and going to Teen USA. I lived in New Jersey for high school. Ended up winning that, going to Teen USA, which was the coolest experience ever. It was back when they had it in the Bahamas. So my whole family got to go to the Bahamas for a week, which was really cool. Ended up placing top 15 and had the best time. I'm still friends. You hear him whining. I'm still friends with so many of the girls that I went to Teen USA with. A lot of them ended up living in the same city now, which is cool. And then when competing for Miss, it took me about 5 tries to finally walk away with the Miss title. And I was really thinking that this was probably going to be my last year, not because I was aging out, but I'm a news reporter, as you know. And as you move up in the news world, the reporting world, it becomes very difficult with contract signing to keep competing. And I was ready to kind of step up in my career. And so I really gave it my all this last year. I'm really thankful that it ended up working out, because I probably wouldn't have ever gotten to go to Miss USA if it wasn't for this year.
Yeah, and I can only imagine when it comes to being a news reporter how difficult it is to balance. So can you tell us a little bit about your career path and how it's been being able to balance pageantry and news reporting?
So I've been a full-time reporter for 3 years. It worked out pretty perfectly, where this year I knew I was doing the pageant in July. I knew that a contract that I had at a news station was running out in July. And it, like I said, it's possible, but it would be very difficult to be under contract with a news station and under contract with the Miss USA organization. So I ended up putting my professional life on hold and applied to journalism school to get my master's. I was accepted into Columbia University's program in New York City, which is like one of the most amazing journalism programs in the world. I was like, oh my gosh, this is all falling into place. So then the pageant came, and I knew that even if I didn't walk away with it, I still had really exciting things on my horizon. I still had my master's, I had graduate school, and then I could get back into reporting for immediately after this year. It's a 1-year program. But it's really nice because I'm here a couple days I'm in New York City a couple days a week for classes, and then I just take the train right back to Virginia, and I'm able to do appearances. I've been doing appearances pretty much every weekend. So it's worked out really well. It's easier to balance than one would expect. It just takes a lot of planning and time management and making sure that, okay, I have my schedule laid out. I have I should show you, I have 5 calendars. I have a calendar that I keep on my wall. I have it in my phone. And then I have a physical calendar, a planner book that I carry around in my purse at all times so that I have everything that I'm doing written out in 3 different locations, color coded. It's insane.
You sound extremely organized. Oh my goodness. So one of the greatest things about being a title holder is being able to leverage your personal life or your career into your reign as a title holder. So how have you been able to leverage journalism into your career through pageantry?
So since being crowned, one of the things I really wanted to do was work with news stations to help promote more women to get involved in pageantry. So I've actually been able to help through freelancing. I've already published dozens of news stories about things that I'm doing as Miss Virginia USA about the pageant through various news outlets across Virginia. I have a really exciting initiative that's going to be starting here in the next probably week or two as soon as I can download the editing software onto my laptop. I have a freelance news segment called Crown Time with Christina Thompson, where I've been able to report at and film every single appearance that I've done, so I can start putting those videos together and getting them out there for people to see. But it's been pretty amazing how much, being a pageant title holder and being a news reporter really coincide, because, as a news reporter, I would be going to all of these community service events. I would be going to these amazing events in the community anyways. Now I just get to do it as Miss Virginia USA, which is really cool.
Oh, that is awesome. And I'm a journalism major myself.
Oh, how cool. Oh
yeah.
My gosh, what do you want to go into?
I want to go into news reporting as well. So,
okay, TV?
Yeah, and TV.
Okay.
So that's why I asked that question, because the journalism field is very cutthroat, and moving into that, I think that a lot of people are losing faith in the media when it comes to certain issues. So what would be your encouragement to watchers and also to journalists themselves on how to keep that connection strong?
I would say to people who like to consume the news, people who watch the news, make sure you understand and you're able to differentiate between your local news reporters and national news reporters. Both are amazing. Both are great fields. Your local news reporters live in your community with you. They, a lot of times are dealing with the same issues that you're dealing with in your community. They genuinely care about making the community a better place, and that's typically what all of our stories revolve around. Mm-hmm. I don't think that a lot of people really understand that. I think that they think that if you're a news reporter, you're just automatically very political. You're automatically, just reporting about really sad things. There's lots of different things you can report about. You can feature different restaurants around your area. You can feature events. You can help to get the word out there about events. And I think that that's really important. Something that I reported on a lot in Virginia was unemployment and people during the pandemic not getting their unemployment benefits. I mean, Virginia was backlogged by 70,000 claimants. These people, that were about to lose their home. I started doing stories on it, and I had dozens of people saying that because I did a story on them not getting their benefits, because I reached out to the Virginia Employment Commission on their behalf, they were able to quite literally save their homes, save their belongings, and not be homeless on the street. I mean, that's what local news reporters, that's why people get into the news, get into reporting. They want to be a voice for the voiceless. So I would really just encourage viewers and consumers to understand that not everyone's doing it to try to get you all riled up. People, they care about you and they care about the problems you're facing. They're trying to fix them. That's, I think, what the root of journalism is.
Yeah, as a journalist, it's really important to have that connection with the viewer. So I'm glad that you said that. It's really mind-opening to think that these are people that are in your community. They just work at the news station. They're just telling you what's going on in your community. So yeah.
And really again, I love national news. I think it's great. But I understand that a lot of people are frustrated with it these days. Like with what you were saying, there is a big divide. And, if you love local news, you love national news, that's great. I think that you just need to understand that they're two completely different entities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So moving into your pageant journey, what was one of the biggest things that helped you prepare for Miss Virginia USA?
I would go home and just practice interview questions every day with my mom every day. I think that was the biggest thing. And then the other thing was just making sure that I was at a place in my life where I was able to take on the title. It is a lot of responsibility. It does keep you very busy. Kind of just going back to what I said, I stepped away from my job to be able to do this. I made sure that I set myself up in a position where I was still being productive. I was still working towards, my career goal, going back to school, but I wasn't doing it in a full-time capacity. So making sure that kind of your life aligns with wanting the title and all that the title kind of needs to have you do for it.
And as title holders, we have a lot of things that we struggle with competing in pageants. So what would you say one of your biggest struggles has been over the course of your pageant journey?
Just wanting it so bad, growing up with a mom who was able to go to Miss USA, talking about it with her for my entire life, and having to face that realization this year of, oh my gosh, it could never happen. And then having to be okay with that. And I think that the moment that I accepted, I can't force it. If it's going to happen to me, it's going to happen, and that would be so amazing. It would be a dream come true. But if it doesn't, I'm still successful. I'm still going to do great things in life too. I think that grappling with that, being okay with that realization, and just making sure that no matter what the outcome is, you're going to have a positive attitude about it was the hardest thing to face.
That is really difficult. Yeah, as a title holder, you want to really reach your goal. But at the end of the day, when you're at the pageant, you do have to realize that only one girl can win out of all of the people that you're competing against. So
yeah. And everyone wants it so bad. I mean, everyone's worked so hard for it. I don't believe that, maybe some girls worked for more hours than the others, but I think that everyone wants it the same. Everyone put in a ton of work to be there. Everyone deserves it. So really, you just have to understand that at the end of the day, one girl's going to walk away with it. It's very subjective, and you need to be okay with yourself no matter what happens.
Mm-hmm. And throughout that realization of, okay, if I don't win this, I'm still successful, there can be a little bit of comparison. So what would you say to somebody that is struggling with comparison when they're competing at any pageant?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, comparison is, what's the saying? Comparison is the thief of joy. I truly do believe that. Every girl struggles with it. Every girl struggles with jealousy. I think that something that I read once somewhere that I think has been really helpful is, okay, you can look at another girl and think, like, wow, her hair is really cool, or wow, she has a great story or something. But then say something about yourself. Like, that girl is beautiful. You know what? I really like that I have this thing on my resume and I think that's cool. Or like, wow, that girl's hair is so gorgeous. I wish I could, pull off that style or cut. Just think to yourself, I like the way that, like, my mom helped me do my hair this morning. I'm so lucky to have a mom who's, like, really involved in this. Thinking stuff like that. So admiring other people for something that they have, I think is great, and we should admire people and we should give people compliments. But then being able to compliment yourself back, I think, is a healthier way of feeling that emotion and kind of moving through that emotion and dealing with it. And being able to make it a positive in your life as opposed to just a negative, like, oh my gosh, all these girls are so much better than you. I mean, that's not healthy. You never want to think that way. And that doesn't help to foster a good, healthy competition environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Because that comparison can hinder you from the title if you really think about it, because you want it so bad and you're also comparing yourself to these other girls who want it so bad. You need to be in the mindset of, what's for me is for me. And what's for her is for her,
Mm-hmm. It's very true. And if you saw a girl who won the year before that did something different than you and you try to copy it, it's not going to be authentically you. I think that I had done that. Definitely, I think I did that the past couple of years that I competed, and finally this year, I said to myself, I'm going to be 100% me. One of my favorite looks is old Hollywood glam. And you don't really see that too much anymore in the pageant world, but I'm like, you know what? I like that on me. I'm going to do it. And I did it, and I felt 100% myself, old Hollywood glam, like classic, and I'm really glad that I did it, and it worked out in my favor. So I think that just being okay with yourself and the look that you want to portray is really powerful, and that comes across.
Mm-hmm. As somebody who competes in pageants, I've only been competing in pageants for 5 years. In Beauty Queens Galore, we have all types of pageant competitors, even people that haven't competed in pageants before following us. So what would be your advice to somebody who may be too scared to compete in a pageant or has never competed in one before, is thinking about it, and is on the edge?
I would say absolutely do it. There's no better training, I think, for the real world, how to set yourself apart in the real world, how to get a job, I truly think that for young women, there's no better job interview training than pageantry, because it teaches you resiliency. Like we were saying, only one girl can walk away with the crown, only one girl can walk away with the job. And once you kind of realize that, it's easier to bounce back, and it's easier to go for more jobs, to put yourself out there even more, and then to get a better job than you thought the one that you lost was. I think that learning how to be poised and walking on stage in an evening gown is a really amazing asset to have in your tool belt. I think interviewing is amazing. A lot of pageants now have public speaking about yourself on stage. I don't think I would be a news reporter if I didn't do pageants, and I think that pageants open young women up to a lot of networking, just a lot of being able to better themselves in the real world and in the professional world.
Mm-hmm. And we are now only a couple months away from Miss USA. So what is one thing that you are really looking forward to?
Wearing my evening gown. I am so excited. Obviously, I can't say too much about it, but I was able to design it. Jonathan Kane designed my gown. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. And I'm sure every woman has the most amazing gown that they design, but I think it's just so cool being able to wear a dress that you had in your head for years, to be able to have that come to life and then wear it on stage. Like, that's so cool.
Mm-hmm. What's one of the biggest things for Miss USA? I guess I would say one of the biggest sacrifices you've had to make in preparation for Miss USA.
I would say no sacrifices. Just, you have to understand that your time is going to be a lot harder to find, I guess. So maybe just having those nights where, you know, you'd sit on the couch and watch a movie. That's certainly not happening anymore. Just having to be able to time manage when I'm able to see friends, when I'm able to see my family. So I guess that's kind of the biggest sacrifice. And then beyond that was probably stepping away from my job for a year.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. I think what a lot of people don't realize about Miss USA title holders is that it's a job. It's an actual job. So much so that you have to step away from yours in order to be a full-time title holder and be out in your community. And speaking of being out in your community, what is one of your favorite appearances that you've done so far, or one that you're looking forward to?
Oh my gosh, I've done a lot of really cool. I always love whenever I'm able to be just around a lot of people doing something that is really cool and can help people. I went to a breast cancer fashion show that was awesome. I've been able to volunteer with kids. Right now, I'm actually training my dog to become kind of like a therapy dog, to be able to go into hospitals and meet with kids, because I want to start taking him with me. I have a really cool appearance coming up with Smile Train. It's a run for a little kid involved in that, so that'll be really fun. I have a lot of really cool things on the horizon, and I mostly just love being able to be around kids. Like, there's no better feeling than a kid that thinks you're a princess and wants to come up and give you a hug, and then you're able to talk to them and encourage them. I think that's the best, is just being able to speak life into a younger generation.
Definitely. And you have an organization that helps young women bridge into the field of journalism. So tell us a little bit about that.
I do. So 3 years ago, I started Purposeful Positions, and since the program has a 100% success rate of placing the girls that go through it in their first job within 3 months of their college graduation, which I'm very proud of, I broke into the news industry. Honestly, I'm shocked I got a job. It's extremely hard to. I remember my senior year of college, I knew one woman who was extremely helpful in helping me get some interviews. But other than that, I would sit there for hours on end, cold emailing and cold calling every single news director at every single station pretty much across the country. If they would answer the phone, I was on the phone on the other end talking to them, just trying to form connections to hopefully get a job. And that was really beneficial in helping me form relationships with news stations across the country. And I still keep in contact with a lot of these people to this day. So when the girls come in my program, I teach them how to interview, how to dress for a job interview, what materials they need walking into that interview to make them a really strong candidate. One of those is, if you want to be an on-air reporter, you've got to have a newsreel. You have to have at least a 1.5-minute montage of you standing in front of various, places in your community, various crime scenes, various locations, reporting on things that happen there. That's really important because that's how, you know, a news director or a boss is going to see what you're going to look like representing their station. And then beyond that, you have to be able to show that you can put together a comprehensive news story and that you have strong writing skills. So I teach girls how to do this. I take them around in the community. I tell them past stories that I reported on in this place, and then I give them the facts. I let them write a little news story about it, and then we film it, and then we go back and we edit it all together. And we send that out to news stations. And I think that just young women understanding exactly what they need in order to get a job is really helpful, because I didn't know what I needed to have in order to get a job. I'm very lucky that I was able to get a job. But I think that the program has just been, it's really cool to see, you know, my girls starting out in their jobs and really excelling at them. And I'm excited to kind of keep this program growing. Actually, through Miss Virginia USA, I've been able to schedule some speaking engagements about the program at journalism schools, various colleges across Virginia. I have those coming up. So I'm about to start getting a lot more young women involved, but I'm excited to be able to help them. I mean, I think women helping women is so important these days.
Definitely. And I think that that's amazing, because as college students, we don't always know what the next step is for us to get into the field of journalism. It's very cutthroat, and they expect a lot coming out of college. So that's a great organization that you're able to help young women with. And how can people get involved in that?
So they can just DM me on Instagram if they want my help. My email is also attached to the website, which is in my Instagram bio. But yeah, if they just reach out to me and say they want to be involved, I'd be more than happy to help them. I mean, I speak to a lot of students every year about the program, and you'd be surprised that it's still a large number, but it's few students that are in the class that, you know, are asking me for help. And I think that just students taking the initiative to reach out and say, hey, this is my goal, can you help me? And then doing the steps that it takes to get there. I mean, that even just puts them leaps and bounds above the competition looking for jobs.
So moving on to a little bit more about you, what's something from your childhood that you try to bring into who you are today, and something that you may have needed as a child that you are trying to be for somebody else today?
Interesting. So childhood-wise, since I was about 12 or 13, I've been very involved in at least leaving for a week, sometimes a couple months at a time, in the summer to go volunteer someplace that I'm not used to, and that kind of led to me teaching English and math in Guatemala. When I was, I think I started that when I was 13, but I did it throughout my summers while I was in school. And that was just an amazing experience. I'm a huge advocate for, if it's possible, you can find a church group to go with. I think every student in America should go volunteer in a different country for an extended amount of time, just to see, you know, A, different cultures. It's so important to be culturally aware, but B, just to see, you know, how lucky we are. I think that a lot of us, you know, have a lot, and it's important that if you're given a lot, you need to help a lot. So that is a really eye-opening experience, and being able to know that you're making a difference in little kids' lives is a big deal. Some of my students actually grew up and live in the landfill outside of the town that I would teach at. And I mean, that in itself is just crazy to think about. I don't think that any of us, I mean, maybe some of us did, go to school with kids who quite literally lived in a trash dump. It's horrible that kids have to deal with that, but being able to be a part of, you know, building fresh water sources for them, building a new school for them, teaching them education, that's huge. And education is a great key to break out of those situations, break out of poverty. So I think that just having those experiences of traveling, but traveling to do something good, I take with my childhood, and is still kind of something that I'm very passionate about to this day.
That is absolutely amazing that you had the opportunity to teach in Guatemala and experience those things. It's really character building, in my opinion, and it's really good, and it shows now in your career path and in your time as Miss Virginia USA, just volunteering in the community. So I applaud you for that, and congratulations on that.
Thanks.
So what's one of the hardest interview questions you've ever been asked?
Tell me about yourself. I mean, come on, that's gotta, like, what do you say to that? I mean, I think that's the one that so many of us practice. We put together our elevator pitch, but every woman has so much to offer that to ask someone, tell me about yourself, is so broad. I'm trying to think. I just easy questions throw me off. Like, what color is your gown? You're prepared for questions about the political state of our country, and someone says, what color is your gown? It's like, wait, what? I don't know what to say. So that always kind of throws me off. But I don't know. Interview, I definitely, even though I'm a news reporter, I think I definitely got very nervous doing interview. But at the end of the day, you're just trying to show them your personality and who you are. So I've learned to kind of just, okay, Christina, like, relax. They're not going to ask anything too crazy. And honestly, if you don't know the answer, just say, I don't know.
Okay. That is actually it's interesting that tell me about yourself. So many people say that that's one of the hardest questions, and it kind of is, because when you're preparing for interview, you have usually 2 or 3 things that you want to leave with the judges before you leave the room, and I guess that's kind of your time to tell them. So how would you usually answer that question, or what would be your advice to people that freak out about a question like that?
Yeah, I mean, I answer it just saying, I brought in a lot about news reporting. So kind of when I walked in the interview room, they said, tell me about yourself. I'm very passionate about being able to deliver the news. I think that the freedom of information is quite literally the key to democracy. And it's a huge burden of responsibility to have. So I do love focusing on news reporting just because it is my passion. And then I talk about things that are, closer to my heart, things, experiences that I've had that I think have shaped me into the woman that I am. So I think that tell me about yourself is definitely the hardest question to answer, but you're going to be asked it. So you can come up with 2 or 3 things about yourself that you think are the biggest things that make you unique, and you can practice how you're going to say it, but you don't want to sound like rehearse, like you memorize this line. But just know, like, okay, I like reporting, and here's an experience in my childhood that made me who I am, and I'd like to say this to the judges. And so when you're in that room, you can say it naturally, but you know that you're going to say these 2 things.
Mm-hmm. And in the Miss USA interview room, they ask political questions and current event questions. So, and you never know who's going to be on your judges panel. So how do you answer a political or current event question in a way that stands your ground on your opinion, but also is soft enough and mindful enough of other viewpoints?
I say my opinions. I've never been someone who says, I see both sides, blah, blah, blah. I just don't, because, I'm well informed, and I have these opinions, and this is my stance. And the judges are there to judge you on, your speaking skills, the person that you are. They're not there to judge you on your political beliefs. So I think that as long as you're not like crazy controversial, like, it's okay to say what you believe in. Like, there's reasons why we believe the things that we do. There's life experiences. So I think that if someone asks you a political question, you can say, this is what I believe, and here's my life experience that has led me to this point. Other people's viewpoints are valid, and I think that we should be able to hear each other out and have a conversation and have, progressive dialogue that can help us understand each other. But I mean, if we were all like the same human, that wouldn't be any fun. How are we supposed to talk to anyone if we all believe the same things? So I think just having a healthy understanding of, these are my beliefs, this is why, I think that we need to be able to talk about it to help, I don't know, to help educate each other. I think that that's great. But I always say what I believe. I think that, take it or leave it. If I was authentic and I said what I believed and I didn't win, I was still authentic and I stood up for myself, and I think that's important.
Yeah, that's really important, and that is great advice, to always stand your ground and just say what you believe. And the judges are judging you on delivery and how poised you are when you're answering your question, not your opinion. So that's amazing. And thank you so much for sitting down to talk with us today. So can you give us like a 30-second elevator pitch? I know we just talked about it. Something that you would like to leave with the viewers today of just who Christina Thompson is and your journey as Miss Virginia USA.
Awesome. Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm really grateful for this experience. Thank you so much. Definitely follow along with me. I'm excited to start Crown Time with Christina Thompson here really soon. Definitely very passionate about the news. If you or anyone else is interested in breaking into the broadcast journalism industry, please reach out to me. I absolutely love helping people. It's one of my favorite things to do. But I've loved this conversation. Thanks so much for asking me to do this. It was such a fun time.
Of course, and we are so excited to cheer you on at Miss USA and continue to follow your journey.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.